Okay, I'm gonna.
All right, I believe I'm streaming. Not quite sure. I've had a couple of hiccups here, but let me just mesmerize you guys with that for a second. While I go over here and check the Trade Ideas daily support link. Where are we? Hold on, guys. I'm still trying to get up my YouTube link here. If I can just find it. Gosh, where's the live link? Can somebody shoot me the live link? I don't know why I am losing it here. Somebody shoot me the YouTube link, and then I'll start broadcasting here. Or I'll start paying attention to what's going on. Thank you, guys. All right. And then, of course, let me mute that. Thank you, guys. Perfect. All right. People look like they're starting to file in. Welcome to the Wednesday edition. Almost didn't happen, at least on my desktop. We had a internet outage here. Looks like it slowly fixed itself just in time. So welcome to the carnage as viewed through my desktop. And let me minimize that so I can get a view of the questions. Hello, Kyle. Hello, guys. Andy and Sean, my trusty wrench team. All right, we're good to go. Yeah, Kyle. Brutal. A month or two ago, we'd have these giant gap downs, and what would they do? They wouldn't go down. They would reverse and fill the gap and shoot higher. Well, now we kind of have the opposite of that. We have a market today where it attempted to put in a real big pro gap of that, 800 Dow points or what have you, and that pro gap was quickly squashed. So it's the exact opposite of what we saw on the way up. Gaps were bought to the down gaps were bought. Now we've got up gaps are faded. So um, it's just the way the market dynamics work. It's kind of a shame to see that if you're a bull or if you want to try and cheer the economy on and make this volatility go away, just to see the overnight stupid markets drift us higher so that the regular session bell could ring and the sellers could come in and hammer it at better prices. But nonetheless, that's the observation. That's the market we have right now. So I was reminding myself a lot of those gap down days on the way up that just never seemed to follow through to the downside. They just reversed and kept going in the same direction. Well, now we have kind of the opposite of that. So, not a great tell, not a great looking uh, price action, for lack of a better term, but that's what we've got. All right, so the questions panel is open. We're here as a ritual Monday through Friday now at noon Eastern time to try and help people with any visuals or any questions or any things they might need help with. And it's so much better than trying to use the phone to solve problems. We can get a lot more done here visually. But again, it's going to come up to what you guys want to talk about. Otherwise, I just start rambling. I figured between Sean and Andy and myself, and even Jamie, of course, can't forget Jamie. I don't know if I can include Michael on this one, but we all traded at a time back in the late 90s where you had to come to an office and hang out with other traders and other people physically and enjoy the ups and downs of that type of environment rather than sitting at home trading from your home office in silence. And that brings some really interesting stories. And so I kind of told myself yesterday, in these midday broadcasts, if If it gets quiet, there's a big lull, there's no questions coming in, well, geez, we can always revert to story time. Some real time stories of some things we've seen in the past come and go. Right on the top of my list, I've got one. Uh, we'll call them the Jackson family to hide their real name. Andy knows who I'm talking about. Watch a family of people that come in the late 90s that had no concept of money. They figured his son was really good at video games, so he was going to open up a $100,000 account for his son to trade because he was really quick. He had good hand-eye coordination. And as you can guess, that did not end well. One day, Andy and I saw this kid take a stand. It was in Siena, and it was in a free fall. And he just kept buying. And he'd buy some more, and he was down 40 grand, and he was down 50 grand. And then he decided it was time for a smoke break. And his dad watched as he went outside and had a smoke break. And then he came and he had to gather himself and took a nap on the couch. And when he got up, he was down 60 grand. By the end of the day, he blew up a $100,000 account in one day. And we all sat there with our mouth agape and saying, wow, that's never going to happen to me. Those people obviously don't know the value of money. And it's funny because his father would re-up the account, start it again. But he wasn't writing a check. No, sir, he wasn't writing a check. He was pledging stock certificates. And the poor office manager had to take the stock certificate and run them through the compliance, and they got compliance, and the SEC said, okay, you can trade off this account using those stock certificates as collateral. But the problem is those stock certificates were printed in the basement of the Jackson family's house. Oh, good times. Good times. I don't think they're doing very well either. That's the sad thing about it. But boy, did we see some interesting things come and go back in the day. Sean was talking yesterday about something he saw, and I said, that's probably a good thing to do to save for when there's nothing really to talk about. All right, so let me look over here. We got a few people, not as many as we've had in the past. I guess a lot of people are clinging to their keyboards watching this market. But let me just backtrack here and see if we have any questions. Story time is perfectly fine by me, yep. Stock certificates, those are the actual, stocks have a certificate. If you've got 100 million shares in the float, well, there better be let me put it this way, there better be a physical representation of certificates that add up to that amount. There actually is a physical stock certificate. At least there used to be. Maybe they're digital now. I don't know. But this guy was cranking them out in his basement to try and get his son back in the game, who had no business being there in the first place. But it was quite the entertainment. Wallpaper. People were selling stock certificates on eBay at one point. Either IPOs of really interesting companies, or they were selling stock certificates of Enron stocks that no longer came to be in existence. I guess just for the sake of collector's items, I guess is the word I'm looking for. All right, so let's take a little gander here. Interestingly enough, SPY's lows yesterday. Look at this. This is how the algos play the game. 73.50, 73.45. What's today's low? 73.50. We didn't take out that 73.45, but we went down into that level and didn't get much follow through from yesterday's lows. But we shall see what happens. Again, I'm just not a fan of the way this market opened and traded today. That was a pretty good 800-point Dow gap. It's been all but erased for the most part. Nothing really doing anything of significance today except for oil. Trying to work off that big plunge it took yesterday. The Qs looks like they were trying to come up here and have a date with the 10-period moving average, which yesterday was a bit sloppy. It looked like it was going to break through yesterday and kind of fooled me a little bit and broke back down below and then could never get back really above it again. So the momentum line here today is coming into play here in the NASDAQ in a few minutes. All right. Wolfhound Trades is a question. If Brokerage Plus window is connected to the TI simulator and the IB real account, what happens when I click buy or sell button in chart window? Well, if the Brokerage Plus window is connected to the simulator. So are you saying that you are, oh, if not, okay. If not in a chart window. I'm a little confused on your question, but you know the buy and sell buttons are a brand new feature, and essentially they will work in the Brokerage Plus. But what you need to remember is you need to have a strategy tab or a strategy created where you could come in here and just say, you know, you could call it your chart button buy, and in your chart button buy, let's see how we would do that. You know, new trading strategy. Okay, so in our chart button buy, we could say we want them to go long, obviously. Okay, great. We want the entry time to be any time. It's going to be manual. That doesn't really matter. But here's where it gets interesting. What kind of order is this going to be? Is it going to be a limit order with an offset? Okay, that could probably work. You know, a limit order with a nickel offset just to make sure we get into the trade. Let's do, you know, based on stop loss. Let's say I only want to risk $75 at the most on this trade. So this buy button is now being configured in this menu. Risk management. What I would do is just do something simple. Percent. You know, do a 1% stop loss, and you can always adjust it. But when you click that buy button, you know you're going to buy with a 5-cent limit offset, and you're going to have a 1% stop loss. Simple as that. So let's go ahead and save that. And that's called our chart button buy. Let's right click here, and to tie it all together, look at this. We've got to save this as our chart long default strategy. So there it is. This chart button buy is now a default buy. Let's see what happens if I go to my positions. I highlight the Qs. I click buy. I'm going to click the current limit roughly. Boom. And let's see if I am going to get an order placed here. Oh, I'm not connected. That would help. Let's start by connecting. Okay. Let's do it again. Chart button buy. Eyeball the rough current level. We'll take 5 cents better. And there we go. Position is entered. Looks like it took it took 16 shares based on the 1% stop loss and $50 max. And there's my stop. I can come in here and tighten that up right now if I want to, and that tighten has been received. So to answer your question full circle, we can do this chart buy button in paper trading mode, and we can do this chart buy button in real mode, which is the interactive brokerage, which I do not have a connection to. So as everything, I would recommend playing around a lot in paper trading mode to get a feel for it. But again, if you're going to use those buy and sell buttons, you need to first create the instructions on what you want those buy and sell buttons to be. Let's see if I answered the question. Your Brokerage Plus window says 2 of 2 connected. Well, there's really no reason to have 2 of 2 connected, and I don't even know if that's possible, but you only need to have 1 of 1 connected. And again, I would recommend learning and making all your mistakes here on the paper trade simulated trading option with trade ideas. Save the real stuff for later when you really understand the jump rope. Do you have to repeat this setup if you were wanting to do in real mode? No, the mode will remain the same whether you're in paper trade mode or interactive brokers mode. But let's do this. Let's take this a step here. I just created the limit chart buy button. I selected this as my default long strategy. So this B button is now configured to this. All right. We don't need to have it on. We're using it manually. But what we do need to do is make sure this is going to be there tomorrow for us when we want to use it tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to minimize that. I'm going to put, this is what I always do. I like to start my desktop on SPY. I'm going to come here. I'm going to lock it in. File, save layout, default layout, overwrite. And by doing this, I have now locked in the changes to my Brokerage Plus strategy, making sure the chart buy button is now active. So we could do the same thing with a chart sell button. you would come in here and create a new strategy, and then right click and then define the chart short strategy, because you would create a short direction there. So hopefully that answered your question, Wolfhound Trades. Once you've got it set up the way you want, save your default layout, and then going forward, it shouldn't be an issue. Looks like the spies are fighting through. The Nasdaq's trying to fight through there. Kay, hello. A few days ago, you showed a custom exit formula in the strategy window. When will that be available to everyone? I'm not sure when that was shown or where that was shown, but custom exit formulas in the strategy window. I'm not sure when that will be available to anyone. If anybody of the guys are listening and know what Kay is referring to, you could probably type her the response, but I'm not exactly sure. Damien, is there a timeline when E-Trade will come in play? We're working with E-Trade to try and find out what we want to do with them, and they are certainly interested in the Brokerage Plus auto trading, simulated trading type stuff. But there is no timeline. I imagine E-Trade's got some meetings happening over there right now. Let's just take a look at what's going on. Where do you think E-Trade's focus is right now? They got bought out by Morgan Stanley, and they've gone down ever since. So I'm sure they're probably trying to figure out how to manipulate, how to manage and navigate this market volatility right now with their customers. And as things start to settle down, maybe we'll get back in meeting rooms with them. But as of now, there's no hard dates. But there is the concept that they are very much interested, and we are having meetings with them. It's just a matter of priorities, I'm sure, with them. Okay, well, Wolfhound Trades, if you feel like you've got everything nailed in the simulator and there's nothing new that's happening or popping up and as a new experience, then that would be time where sure you could move over to the Brokerage Plus simulator. And again, once you do that in live mode, I would certainly start with very low risk. Cut your share size in half or your risk tolerance in half of what you normally do, and just take it slow. But you don't need to have both of them enabled. You would only have interactive brokers connected. You shouldn't have two of two. That's when you decide to go live. All right, I think we actually caught up on some questions here on this crazy, crazy market week. No reason to try and be a hero in this environment. Andy and a couple of the guys in their little shared account, we've been sitting on our hands. It's basically in cash. There's just nothing to do. There's no reason to try and be a hero. And we're pretty happy that we've had that mentality for a few weeks, ever since the trade of the week was called for cash 2.5 weeks ago. Are you the expert for the quality column? I can try and shed some light on it. Quality column is only going to work, I believe, in the A windows. Let me go to a T window here real quick and see if quality. No. So quality is only going to work in the A window. And in the A window, it's a column. And so if we go to column, let's add quality, and let's add that. And what it's going to tell me, 0 days. Okay, so in terms of making a new low, let's click into this one. It's showing 0 days as the quality for that. So I would imagine, let's see what else is in here. Let's go see if there's anything in here yesterday. Quality. Okay, so 4-day low, 4-day low. It's telling us how many new fresh days is this new low. So every event, and it's not to be confused with a filter. The quality is not a filter, and it's not something that you can manipulate. It just is going to show us a value. So if we go to a different type of an alert, let's see if I can load a different type of an alert here. It's a different type of an event. Most of my events are just basically highs and lows. Let's do this. Let's try this. Let's say, let's look at some of these alerts here and see if we could give a better example. So if I used a standard deviation breakout, I could create that, add alert, And let's just launch it for whatever comes through, comes through. We're just trying to see. We'll go to our quality column. It's not in there. We'll add quality as the column. That's the only thing you can do. And let's take a look at what quality means on a standard deviation. I'm going to bet it's going to tell me how many deviations. Yep, it's 5 standard deviations. So based on the event, in this case, standard deviation, it's going to tell us, is it a new 4 standard deviation, a 3, a 5? If it's a new high or a new low, it's going to tell us, is it a 3-day high or a 3-day low? And that's really the extent of how the quality column is used. It's only tied to events, to these alerts. Anything you see here in red and green and blue, those are going to be. Now, for instance, like if I did a new block trade alert, I would imagine that the quality is going to show me the actual size of the alert. Let's see what happens there. Let's go block trade. I bet you it's going to tell me how many shares it was. Block trade. I need the quality column to be added to make this work. And I bet you it's just going to give me a share size. And there it is. 29,000 block trade share size. So as you can see, whoever asked that question, Asia, the quality is only going to give you more color on what your event was, whether it's a block trade, a standard deviation, or a new high, new low. It's going to give you a bit more information on that event. Hopefully that helps. You use a new high ask. So let's see what the quality of a new high ask would look like. We'll add that alert, activate that alert. Let's make sure we have quality in there. Let's see what it gives us. So it's giving us a new high. So it looks like it's giving us the size of the offer. The new high offer is now quoting 1,500 shares. And I just learned something. Quite honestly, I didn't know you could do that. So your new high ask has moved up. It hasn't printed yet, but the offer has lifted. And on that offer appears to be 1,500 shares. So that seems to be what the quality means of your particular event. All right, good. I'm glad you got that. All right, let's see. Still wasn't able to answer Kay's question on what the name of the exit was. But what you could do, Kay, if you're listening still, is you could email info@trade-ideas.com. And any little detail that you might have, like the name of the strategy or the name of the scan, or the filter, I should say, in the cloud, might help. All right. Let's see if I move this up right here to a super tight stop, I'll probably get stopped out there on this QQQ paper trade that we just put on a minute ago. Or if I'm saying I don't want to be stopped out, let's just put it back down here. Those are all being canceled and replaced each time I drag and drop and unleash and unpress the mouse button and drop it. There's a cancel and a replace going on. A lot of broken charts out there. All right. Kyle, aren't the support sessions saved for viewing for later? They are. If you're talking about these, I just don't know where. I know that when Michael Noss set this live stream up for us, one of the one of the settings was to have it auto saved, auto archived. How to view it from there, I'm not exactly sure, so that would be a question for Michael. And if he's not listening, again, that might be a good email exercise, info@trade-ideas.com, to see how to view. All right, Wolfhound Trades is there. Information on the website that provides a summary of description of each of the channels in the channel bar. I believe that we do have a PDF document, I think, something along those lines. The guys would know as well, but there again is another redirect for you to send to info@trade-ideas.com, and that creates a support ticket. So whatever you're looking for, somebody will be assigned to that email. And so if somebody recognizes what you're looking for and have access to that channel description, they can send it to you. Yeah, and you typed it in there. But I mean, a lot of them are pretty self-explanatory. You have the three hollies, which, by the way, I only am interested in Neo at the moment until the other Swing Trade Holly 2.0 becomes the Swing Trade channel. Obviously, pre-market is key. That's where all of your gappers are going to be. Earnings, these are only going to be stocks that are filtered for earnings. Stocks I like, you can go there basically to just steal this particular scan right here. It's called the My Liked list. And any stock on here comes and goes with the simple click of the heart button. That will enable it and bring it into my scan, and unclicking it will take it out of my scan. So I use that a lot just to kind of monitor some of the daily stuff. Alpha pre-market, we talked about that. Alpha Predator is super fast-moving stocks, probably a lot of low floats, short squeeze stuff. Musical chairs is what I would call it. Ready to run, those might be stocks that are poised at a very close to a breakout level, close to a 10-day breakout or close to a 20-day type of breakout. Surging, there's going to be stocks that are having big volume surges today. Swing Trade Ideas, again, that will be probably improved upon when we get the Holly AI swing channel going for sure. I'm not sure what some of those are. But that was just a quick, little rundown for you. Channel 4 is a very important one, by the way, because you'll hear us talk about some of our favorite scans sometimes. And what Channel 4 essentially is just a shopping palette for you guys. It's a shopping cart. You can go in there and right-click, save any individual scan or alert to your cloud. Go in and save another one, maybe even another one, grab a few of them, and then you're done on that channel. You would just come back to your default layout and load those individual scans from channel 4 into your default layout, and then you can start using those immediately. The thing to remember about the channels is those are static channels for the public consumption. There's no real way to go in there and start making changes that'll stick. The way you make a change that'll stick is to save to cloud. So from there you would just right click, save to your cloud, and then come back to your default layout when you're ready, load from cloud, and you'll have an exact copy of whatever it is you took from that channel bar. And then to tie it all together, never ever forget to save your layout often, like washing your hands. Save your layout, sing the happy birthday song for 20 seconds, and then overwrite your layout, and all those changes will stick. Oh, starting to get a little heavy again. So I'd come up here with my spies and I'd say, all right, let's just tighten that stop here in my paper simulation. I'd go ahead and pop it right there just to demonstrate how easy we can adjust those orders, whether it's a stop order or a limit order. All right, I think we're caught up on questions. If anybody wants to know how to do something or can we do something, now's a good time. About halfway through our session here today. Again, I apologize. I don't know where to retrieve the recorded sessions. I would imagine they're on our channel somewhere. that trade was stopped out. So take a look at there, and the trade is now gone. Do the same thing with this one. Pop that up there. All right, and that one has now been stopped out. Yeah, again, if you're coming late, I'm not a real fan of the action here. It's pretty ominous, quite honestly. Big gap up, completely squashed, just like it used to be on the way up. We'd have those big gap downs that were immediately bought. So big fake out on the open. Powers that be were able to push the futures higher overnight while we slept to kind of give a nice running head start again for some more selling. And it just doesn't look good. It looks kind of like the bouncing ball is just kind of looking for a reason or a spot. And we haven't seen the bouncing ball action in quite some time. The inverse of the bouncing ball is the cup and handle. As stocks come up and try and do resistance levels, well, when we flip that upside down, when the price action completely changes and we get into bear markets, we start to get the bouncing ball. And it just kind of bounces and looks for the crack in the floor until the next level is broken. So that seems to be like what we're setting up for. Another possible test of the lows here. Certainly not good market action. The volatility is certainly not over. Let me make sure I'm not talking into my muted microphone here. All right. All right. Thanks for the link. Yeah, the VIX is starting to pick up a little steam here. All right. Anybody want to use the chat window to ask a question? Feel free. We've already had story time. Speaking of story time and speaking of price action changing from cup and handles to bouncing balls, well, what have we had? About 10, 11 years for the most part, give or take a few volatility moments of an upward trending market, which means along the way, there were a lot of cup and handles. So people in the last 10 years, if they're new to this business, you might not think you're that new, but if you haven't seen price action where the bouncing balls just keep relentlessly pounding on the crack in the floor, looking to take it to a new lower level, that's a new dynamic we haven't really seen. So what's funny is Andy and I, and at least in our office that we were in, back in the day, we're talking 99, 2000, we'd see these big swinging guns from Texas. They would come in, and these were the guys that were kind of in there from ground zero, and they were making money hand over fist year after year, buying lows, buying new highs, riding the momentum in stocks like Dell and Yahoo and things like that. Well, guess what happened when the market turned? Guess who all these smart people that could make all this money on the way up all of a sudden couldn't make money on the way down? And fast forward a few years later, we'd start to hear, oh, yeah, remember so and so, that guy from Texas? Yeah. Yeah, he blew his account up. And we'd be like, but he was trading like a $5 million account. And they're like, well, yeah, he couldn't adapt. And that was a real eye opening experience for a lot of us that nothing lasts forever in this game. And guys that had that much moxie on the way up to print, 7-figure accounts could not figure out how to adjust when the price action flipped. It was a very interesting. Yeah, go big in Texas. Well, during the revolution, during the disruption phase of SOS trading and direct access trading, for some reason, Austin was just a huge hot spot for that. So all the big direct access firms were coming out of Austin. And so a lot of the guys that were there were just conditioned year after year. This is easy. But man, after March 2000, when the market switched, it was just so eye-opening to hear stories about those guys. They had to go get a job somewhere because they blew up their $5 million account. All right, well, no new real questions coming in. Doesn't matter what chart I bring up, I just see the same thing over and over on the daily. The 10-period moving average is just having its way. So what's going to happen when this thing comes down? We get into this area, it's going to be another fight for sure. Yeah, Andy, I think he's looking for the channel bar description, but I'm not sure. Each channel. His question was interested in learning about each channel. I thought we had something on it at that time. But basically, yeah, they're each kind of a theme, pre-market, earnings. However, we can kind of segment that stuff out. Yeah, I agree. Some of those channels are intuitive by their name, and others are not quite so intuitive. But it's always also a good exercise. You can go in there and right click and start breaking down some of the strategies in there and seeing what they're looking for. Oh, the stocks, this one's looking for low price stocks and it's looking for low float stocks. Okay. So you can kind of back yourself into what some of them are looking for. All right. Thank you for that document, Andy. I knew we had something in there. Hopefully, we just got to find the right one. Well, I think Andy's telling you that there is a summary available on that document if you scroll down. All right, guys, I'm still here. If you're still here, you know, semi-decent crowd compared. Fire away. We only got about 18 minutes left. I know Barry's chomping at the bit to get back on here. Yeah, Kyle says, I'm not really seeing anything I like today. Everything's a mess. Everything is broken, and I would rather just wait until the dust settles and we start to get things consolidating again, resting on moving averages or pivot levels again, back to some level of normalcy, quote unquote. All right, let's see. I might be getting a document here that maybe will help. Bear with me. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, so there's the document. Okay, so this is the document he just gave. Unless it's a different document, I don't see where the confusion is. Trade ideas, channel bar descriptions. And this looks like exactly what you're looking for. So I'm not sure where the confusion would be then if you've got that document. If not, then email info@trade-ideas.com and it can be sent to you. Okay, that list might need to be updated. There may be a channel or two that needs to be updated in there. Those guys sometimes do sneak in a new channel. All right. What? Yeah, that's what I was just saying, Andy. You're right. I think they snuck a few new items in there. We might need to create a task to update that. Quant, can you show me the window you recommended to get from my stocks channel bar? Oh, the window you recommended to get. Oh, okay, from my, yeah. So it's this one right here. It's got the big heart. I'll just click into it. It's no big deal. So you click into it, and essentially this is the value of that channel right there. You would just right click and save this to your cloud, like so. Find your way back to your default layout. And from there, load from the cloud. And there you got it. So from here, you just position it where you want it, change the columns, anything you want to do it, set it up the way you want it, and then lock it into place by, again, saving your layout and overwriting it and making sure that you're saving it. All right, great, Jose. Yeah, maybe the guys who created that new channel for us would like to give us some input on how to update that document. Could you repost the link? Oh, okay, the chat had two links with the same name. All right, Andy will take care of that for you. If he's unable to do it in here, then you'll have to email us. All right, a bit of an advanced question coming in here. Let's see if I can make it work. And it's regarding Brokerage Plus. Um, okay, I'll come back to that in a second. Aja had a question about volume 1 minute, might have gotten missed. Let me scroll back and see. I'll come back to that. So for the moment, Brokerage Plus, if you want to, I would like to set up a trading strategy with Smart Stop as the stop loss and target as 2 times the Smart Stop. I don't think we can set the target as 2 times the Smart Stop, but you can certainly set the stop loss as your Smart Stop. From there, you know, maybe you can eyeball it and create, once you're in a trade. So if you're in a trade like this, I just bought 16 spies, and you're up here and you want, say you're, let's say I'm just eyeballing this here, okay? Let's say your smart stop's right there, okay? So about 2 times your smart stop might be up around here. So we'll call it 288. So what you would need to do is come in here and create your limit order manually. 288 would be a limit sell. Let's just go ahead and click sell, and there's our order. And it tells us we'd make $152 at this particular level. If I wanted to move that up a little bit, that increases. But we can send orders with the smart stop as your immediate red stop to the downside, but you're going to want to probably create your own target. And before I do that, just let me make sure that's not possible. So I'll just edit the trading strategies here in a random one. Risk management, stop loss target. Yeah, it would be a filter, smart stop. So that's how you would create your stop loss. But the target, there's no way to do it as a smart stop times 2. Okay, that's going to be smart stop times 1. So I don't think that's available. So that's why I showed you the manual option to just send the order as is and then create your own limit order, and you would have to size that appropriately yourself. All right, so going back to, if you want to ask the question again, Aja, regarding a 1 minute question, volume 1 minute, there's a couple of nuances on that for sure. How do you add, there it is, how do you add 1 minute volume perfect to got it, the single stock window. How do you add 1 minute volume? And that should be right there. Why did my single stock window mess up? So what she's saying is, or he, excuse me if I mispronounced, columns, search. Let's do 1 minute. 1 minute volume is not available on the single stock. Why? Why is that when 5 minute volume is available? There it is, volume 5 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, my daughter's just texting me at San Diego State. All classes are now going to be online. I told her that would happen. Yes, we can add the 5 minute volume. So, great, astute question. The answer is, and I will get to it, you can't add it from your end. It's what we call a custom formula. So, let me propose this to you and anybody else who wants to add the 1 minute time frame, the 1 minute filter on your single stock window. It needs to be done on the back end by me or anybody else. So I invite you and anybody who wants this to email info@trade-ideas.com and go ahead and say request for Steve to add 1 minute filter, custom formula. And once I've done that, I will enable the 1 minute custom formula in your account. And from there, you will just come in here, and there's 2 ways to get it. The easiest way is you just scroll to the bottom of all these, and you see all these U numbers. It'll become a U number. My U 1 minute right there is U21. So 1 minute volume will be a custom code for you. I will drop it into your account. You'll have to come down here and find it. Then once you find it, you can grab it and enable it. So a good, astute question. It's not really there for you. It needs to be done in a custom fashion. Okay, yeah, we can't upload any documents here, so definitely come back for that PDF document, as Andy is explaining. You can get it in the live chat, or you can get it in info@trade-ideas email. Mm-hmm. All right. Looks like we're caught up. We do have a few minutes left, so if somebody's a late straggler and you did have something you wanted to get information on today before we have to take off, now's the time. All right, questions? All right, yeah, if you want to let us know what channels are not there, we can submit those or figure out how to get some content in there. Market's holding up here. Or trying to anyway, in the moment. But I still feel like we're going to have to retest these lows again. All right, Kyle, you are welcome. Yeah, we are a big fan of the new format as well. You know, for a good year, maybe longer, we were just doing the same old TI University classes with the same live content format. It was starting to get a little old. I see now why when musicians go on the road, they play your favorite songs the way they want to play it, just to keep it interesting. Thank you, Hans. Your halt window did not show the recent AYTU halt. Let's create a halt window. Start from scratch. Halt. I'll grab the halt. I'll even grab a resume just for fun. And if it doesn't show up in here, then it may be something we have to talk to our data provider about. So halt and resumes. Let's just go ahead and launch it and see what we got. Today's history. AYTU halted right there at 9:52. Was that the first halt of the day? So it looks like it did come in here. Let's take a look at ATYU was just halted. I don't think you're missing anything. What you may want to do, if you notice when I created this, I did nothing more than just add 2 events. That's it, 2 alerts. Filters, none. If you have anything filtered in here, you might miss something. So if you have any filters in your halt resume alert, it could have prevented you from seeing what we all see here. AYTU came through at 12:52 Eastern. That's my local time there. So it looks like it's halted, and there's our description because of reason number 26. Whatever reason 26 will be. And when it resumes, it should show up as a resume in green. We can see this MOXC has been halting and resuming all morning. The easiest thing to do if you want to check if something was picked up by our scan is just go right to history, right click and go to history. And that's what I'm in right now, today's history. It's showing us everything. All right, a couple minutes to go here before Barry's going to jump on, and he is prompt. So hopefully I've addressed everything that was needed to be addressed here. I know we did defer a few of those questions to info@trade-ideas. That worked. Great. I'd love to hear that. All right, well, let's go ahead and end on that note. Nona, thank you. I'll close that. We will be back again tomorrow. Every day, if the market's open, we will have a session at noon Eastern. The idea is to maybe catch people on their lunch break, or you can use the new live streaming YouTube format on your phone. If you're stuck at the DMV or a doctor's office, it's always just a nice option. So glad that we're attracting more people, and glad that we're getting the good feedback that we are. And it's an excellent way to really get the information you're looking for. It's not the highest and best use of anybody's time to have to answer a phone call because somebody's saying my live stream data isn't working, and you try and have a conversation over the phone to diagnose those, and it just doesn't work. So show and tell is the way to do it, visual. And we encourage anybody to stop by here at any time if you're having difficulty with something. The phone is best for updating your credit card or canceling your subscription, which of course we don't want you to do. So, with that said, thanks the guys with the wrench next to your name for helping me out. We'll clear out of here with less than a minute to go and let Barry take control. And I will talk to you guys next time, or maybe some of you this afternoon in the Trade of the Week webinar, which will be at 5 o'clock Eastern. All right, I'm going to stop streaming. Have a good day.